What's up, family? Welcome back to another video. Get this video a big thumbs up if you get some value from this video, and also it helps crush that YouTube algorithm. And if you're new to the family, come subscribe to the channel and join the family. But let's start quickly with what's becoming a disturbing trend. All right, we having a conversation as usual, but I want to preface the conversation before I get you guys' thoughts by saying this is just another trend, a disturbing trend, which involves another blatant cheap shot aimed at Caitlin Clark. And a heated matchup between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun, as we know, JC Sheldon took it upon herself to get physical, not in a competitive way. Mid play, she reached out and poked Clark directly in the eye. Plain as day, no attempt at the ball, no defensive strategy, just a straight up eye gouge. And what's even more telling is what happened next. Sheldon stood over Clark, visibly laughing, no gesture to help her up, no concern, no sportsmanship, just smug satisfaction. And look, it doesn't matter what kind of trash talk you think Clark may or may not engage in, this kind of contact is dangerous and completely out of bounds. And we're at a point where physical aggression towards Clark is becoming normalized. And that raises serious questions about the tone being set in the league itself, not just by players, but also by officials and coaches who seem content to let this continue. As if this eye gouge wasn't enough, this game had even more tension bubbling under the surface. Later in the same matchup, Marina Mabrey, one of the Connecticut Suns players, got tangled up with Aliyah Boston and delivered what it looked like a blatant elbow. Not subtle, not accidental. It was a clear attempt to send a message. And what's alarming is that wasn't even an isolated moment because Marbury already had been under fire for earlier aggressive plays, including a move earlier similar to the infamous cheap shot Kennedy Carter pulled on Caitlin Clark not long ago. So when you see her following up with an elbow to Boston, it doesn't feel like coincidence, it just feels like a pattern. And let's be honest, these aren't just competitive fouls. These are targeted intentional shots at key Indiana players. And what's just as concerning is the silence from the Fever bench. No confrontation, no one stepping in. You got your franchise star getting bullied, and it seems like her teammates are watching it happen, right? Where's the response? Where's the grit? Where's the accountability? So when things started to get physical, first with the eye poke, then with the elbow, you expect some kind of response from Clark's teammates, some fire, some pushback, something, but instead we saw was silence and a whole lot of nothing. And the Indiana Fever players who were on the floor at the time didn't confront Sheldon. They didn't step to Mabry, and not even a word of protest to the officials. And that silence spoke volumes. And people watching this game weren't just frustrated by the fouls, they were baffled by the lack of defense for their own teammates. In particular, there's growing criticism towards veteran players like Natasha Howard. Someone with her experience and presence should have stepped in at that moment, and she didn't. The only player who eventually showed signs of life was Sophie Cunningham, but by the time she was ready to act, she wasn't even on the court, which makes you wonder and makes me wonder if she had been out there for the start, would things have played out differently? So now that I have added some context and preface the conversation, I want to get into this article real quick, family, before I get you guys' thoughts down in the comments. So this article says, as it reads, cameras catch coach holding back Sophia Cunningham during Marina Mabrey Caitlin Clark incident. Cameras catch or we already seen that. Said that. Things got messy and physical during the Indiana Fever and Connecticut Sun game on Tuesday evening. Though the Fever won with a final score of 88-71, a physical altercation between Fever guard Caitlin Clark and Connecticut Suns J.C. Sheldon and Marina Mabrey was one of the main highlights of the game. In the middle of the third quarter, Clark took the ball and dribbled over the three-point line near the free throw line, with Sheldon closely guarded her. Then Sheldon reached up with her right hand and poked Clark in the eye, causing the Iowa alum to react. Sheldon bumped Clark, and Clark shoved her away. Then Mabrey pushed Clark to the ground. This caused many referees, coaches, and players from both teams to run towards Clark, Sheldon, and Marina Mabrey, to defuse the situation. Meanwhile, a fan caught Fever guard Sophia Cunningham attempting to run to the action, but Coach Austin Kelly held her back. After the incident was called, Cunningham patted Kelly on the back as he let her go. And the post says on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, bro, I need y'all to look at Sophie at the back. The fan account who posted the moment wrote on X, Coach Austin had to hold her back. The moment made its way around social media, which caught fans' attention. In general, the altercation has many mixed reactions from fans and sports analysts. So, quote unquote, as someone said, one fan noticed Sophia was ready to throw hands and they told her to wait till the last seconds of the game. I love Sophie. Finally, CC has backup. Another fan posted, didn't the game nickname Spicy Sophie didn't get the nickname Spicy Sophie out of nowhere. Another post from a fan says, making more Cunningham jerseys now, or make more Cunningham jerseys now. Sorry, family. Referring to all of Cunningham's jerseys selling out on the Fever's official merch website. And one quote tweeted the video and wrote, she's a real one. Another one, I'm streaming. She was really going to start whacking people. Another fan wrote, love to see it. So Cunningham later got ejected from the game after a physical fight and Sheldon during a fast break play. The Masu alum committed a flagrant foul too and is now facing further punishment from the league for her actions. According to the WNBA rulebook, a flagrant foul too is defined as unnecessary and excessive contact. That warrants an immediate ejection from the game. Now, what's mind blowing to me, family, is now let me put it in context because I like to put it in a common sense perspective as an everyday Joe. Um, Look at it like this for a second. So if I have a sibling, right? If I have a sibling that's a brother and he's getting jumped, so the simple fact is I'm being held back by my friend to not jump in to defend my brother for who's getting jumped by bullies. So then if I try to get into to basically back off the bullies and stand up for my brother, I'm basically getting in trouble in this. Let's say it's a school setting. I'm basically getting penalized or suffering the consequences of trying to stop bullies to get them off my brother, but the bullies don't get consequences for their actions. So this tells you where this WNBA is leading. The franchise is this is the message they're sending. Do not defend the bully. I mean, do not have the bullies get consequences for the actions, but let the one who's trying to be brave enough to defend the one that is the victim by the bullies suffer consequences of their actions, but for trying to do the right thing by defending the victim and shooing away the bullies who ultimately need to be held for their actions and get consequences. So no, don't let the bad person um don't let the bad person suffer for their actions or have consequences, but the person that's trying to do right to reform this whole thing and diffuse the situation suffer from the consequences. It's like now in this WNBA is sending the message of those who are doing the right thing, as in standing up for their teammates and diffusing the situation so it doesn't get excessive and unnecessary with excessive contact, is the one that's getting penalized versus the one like Marina Mabrey who had unnecessary excessive contact, shoving Caitlin Clark to the ground for no reason when she had nothing to do with the altercation. It's not getting penalized for nothing. She didn't get a flagrant foul too when she literally shoved Caitlin Clark, and Caitlin Clark she caught her off guard. That was a cheap shot. That was corny, let alone unnecessary. Because the altercation was between Caitlin Clark and JC Sheldon, and that didn't even get as excessive versus Marina Mabrey, who basically shoved Caitlin Clark to the ground. So what is the WNBA message really sending here? So, and it tells you where this lead is going. And it's crazy. So this is the video from the fan, according to the article, right? So you see Sophie Cunningham right here getting held back from the get-go. Look, Austin Kelly already grabbed her up. Look, holding her back. Wow. That is wow. So now you're getting penalized for sticking up for your teammates by diffusing the situation, not adding to it. When Marina Mabrey added more fuel to the fire. If anything, she should have held Caitlin Clark back and been the bigger person. It's just mind blowing to me. But now that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? She got Sophia Cunningham is a fuel fire. You better not play with her, yo. She coming out rocking nonstop. Shoes is getting off and nonstop. Look. She coming out rocking. Shoes gonna be flipping. Black belt gonna be popping. And at the end of the day, she gonna be whipping behind. I'm talking about Dragon Ball Z style, bro. I'm talking about Tarzan woman style from a Tarzan style from a woman perspective type of kicking butt behind. And being a black belt in karate, you're not only defending. Most people go to school. Let's be real for a second. Most people that end up being in karate is because the family wants to teach the child self-defense so they know how to defend themselves and be a good steward by also helping others who may not have the courage to defend themselves. Because karate has been a form um, of not only an extracurricular activity to keep the child busy, but also to build confidence to understand that they're going to take on the battles in the world and being able to by also being righteous and being a productive, efficient person in that community. But you got to have guts. You got to have grit. So it's no shocking to me that her black belt, knocking off socks, knocking off shoes, non-black belt rocking, show non-stopping Sophia Cunningham is going to come out and start whipping behind. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, family? So she channeled that energy in defending her teammate. Because most people that's in karate, and I have god brothers who took karate, and it was a situation where my god brothers had to defend their mom from their own father. So most karate people that was in karate, that most kids that were in karate as kids, or most adults that were in karate as kids, they're usually good stewards because they also teach humility. They also teach to be humble, but also, you know, force with force, meet force with force, but do it in a good steward way, right? And good sportsmanship as well, right? So with all that combined, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It don't shock me, but it's amazing at the same time because she channeled that energy and also took that mindset to the game of basketball and this gritty in this WNBA that's full of drama and it seems like a reality show and sometimes cats meowing at each other and scratching each other. You got to have grit and you can also do it the right way. So, like I said, um, when things got started to get physical, first with the eye poke, then with the elbow, you'll expect some kind of response from the teammates and some fire. And that's when Sophia Cunningham stepped in, right? So now, where things get even more interesting is as all the chaos unfolded on the court, one Indiana Fever player made it clear she wasn't going to sit back and let her teammates take hits without a response, and that was Sophia, right? And here's the thing, that wasn't just emotional frustration. Sophia, like you guys we just was talking about, she has a reputation. She has a physical she's a physical tough-minded player who doesn't back down. She's played that enforcer role before and she's not afraid to mix it up when things get chippy. And it raises a critical question. If Cunningham had been on the court when it all started, would things have gone differently? Would players think twice about taking shots at Clark if they knew someone like Sophia Cunningham was going to answer or was going to answer the bell? At this point, it's clear that Sophia brings something this team desperately needs, not just offense or defense, but backbone. And is Sophia Cunningham bringing more leadership than Natasha Howard? Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. So, and also, it brings the bigger issue getting exposed game after game, the officiated in the WNBA. These referees, it's no secret anymore. With more national attention on the league than ever before, every blown call, every no call, and every delayed decision is getting picked apart. And in this game, it was a complete mess. The eye poke that Kaden Clark took, the foul wasn't even flagrant in real time. It took a post-game review for the league to finally upgrade it to a flagrant 2 long after the damage was done, and that's just part of the problem. Officials spent nearly 40 minutes reviewing plays, yet still managed to botch the call. So let's be blunt. The league growing fast, we know that. Fans from the NBA, college hoops, and even casual viewers are tuning in. And what they're seeing is a product being undeniably, or I should say undermined by inconsistent, unprofessional officiating. And that's a problem that can't be ignored any longer. Some look, some have tried to excuse it, pointing to low referee salaries and move the goalposts and limited training pipelines. But if the WNBA wants to be taken seriously as a premier professional league, and if these referees want their salaries to increase, the standards got to rise, and it has to rise immediately. Because right now, it's not just the players under scrutiny, it's the refs, and they coming up short, man. So, by now, I just want to close and say Sophie Cunningham is not the kind of player you want to test. But in case anyone still has doubts, look, she's not just tough on the court, man. Bottom line, she brings more than just skill. She brings edge. And for a team like Indiana, that might be exactly what they need right now. So with no further ado, family, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.